Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Letty and today I will take you along my journey of sewing the Veiiko Backpack by Hansedelli. As you may have seen in the last videos, I was working on the prototype version of that backpack for quite some time, and during the last month I finally got the courage, or actually stopped procrastinating, and started the real project of that backpack. This backpack is described as a multifunctional travel backpack and the dimensions are 45 centimeters high, 31 centimeters wide and 16 centimeters deep. Although I have to say, when I sewed it up, I would say my backpack is a little bit bigger, so something on the lines of 2 centimeters in the width and the height. But I think that is due to the fact that when you pack it and smoosh everything in, it just grows, so that you have to keep in mind when you sew that backpack and you maybe want to use it as a carry-on. This pattern is available in German and in English. Even though the website is in German, unfortunately you have to use the translation of your browser there to access it in full glory. But you can switch the language of the description of the pattern on the website between English and German. But when you buy the pattern, you can choose if you prefer the German or the English language. I bought the English one since my sewing is mainly in English and I think I don't even understand German sewing terms anymore, so I went with the English version and I have to say the instructions are superb. You will really have a very well written instruction and a lot of pictures going along with that instruction as well. So you can definitely not print it out, and it's also an interactive PDF, so every time the designer, she mentions some concepts or material, you can click on the links and it jumps forth and back in the instructions, which makes it very nice to sew. One thing though to mention is that there is, at least I did not find it, any skill level assigned to that pattern on their website, and also I think not in the instructions. I would say it is a rather involved make and you have to have some understanding of sewing concepts, or at least the confidence to sew lots of layers under your machine. And maybe you also have to make sure that your machine can handle the many materials that you choose. But what you will choose and what you will need, that really depends on your needs. And I think you can even maybe sew a lighter backpack, so to say, with less layers and even with a machine that is maybe not a heavy duty one. On the website you will find a material list where you see what you would need. I recommend, before you even indulge in buying all the materials, check what you really need for your backpack and which options you want to use, because, let me check. So, the backpack has so many options. It has chest straps. You can transform your backpack into a bike carrier, which I think is rather cool. And you have tons of options on the zipper compartments in the inside and in the outside. And also another thing that you can do is attach a strap so that your backpack becomes a carry-on, a shoulder carry-on situation. So if you like that, definitely make sure that before you buy all the fabrics that are maybe needed for all the different options, that you only have the things that are needed for your version. So before I will go into any detail about all the materials that I use, let me show you some of the footage from the process of the backpack and how I sewed it up, especially since I deviated a lot during the sewing process from the original pattern, since I had a pattern in my mind that I definitely wanted to mimic, so to say, or at least use the features from an already existing backpack that I really like to carry around, but has some flaws that I wanted to get rid of with that backpack pattern. The pattern has two options for the back of the backpack. You can either use a mesh fabric where the backpack has contact with your back, or just pad it with some fusible interfacing. Since I didn't want to buy new fabric for this project, I opted for some padding that I have left in my stash. Before I decided on the amount of layers and interfacing, I compared my materials to the ones of my lighter backpack that I use on a regular basis. This backpack has not a lot of padding, but it works very well for me. My lining fabric is some old cotton canvas with a very ugly print. Since this is a super stable canvas, I thought it would be a good base for the padded pieces and an excellent opportunity to get rid of some of my old fabrics in a stash. As a mesh replacement, I used one layer of batting and some leftover foam rubber. The foam rubber was not long enough for the entire length, which I thought would be okay, since it is more important to pad the area where the backpack has contact with your back, around the hip area. For more stabilization with the cotton canvas, I also used a strong fusible interfacing. After cutting out the cordura fabric, which is the outermost layer, I applied some strips of double-sided tape to their back and fixated the batting on it. I changed the construction for the padded pieces slightly. I did this by basting both of the panels of pattern piece 6 together. As mentioned, this is the pattern piece that will touch your back when you're carrying your backpack. One piece is the cordura fabric with the batting, and the other is the cotton canvas with some fusible interfacing. The top edge was left open to insert the foam rubber. Inserting it was not as smooth as I hoped for because it got stuck several times in the batting material. After I managed to get it in and pushed it to the bottom, I continued with the instructions and sewed the upper pattern piece to the panel so that the rubber was enclosed. Top stitching the back panel was not the easiest task since the many layers made it rather stiff and it was hard to maneuver under the machine. But nevertheless, I made it happen and I'm quite happy with the outcome. For the shoulder straps, I used a similar approach for the padding. I treated my batting as if it would be a mesh fabric and basted 2 layers of it onto the cotton fabric base. As mentioned in the instructions, I cut the batting close to the seam to reduce the bulk and basted the cordura fabric on top as well. For the front strap, I opted for the webbing as a potential option for chest straps. After finishing the straps, I attached them to the back panel. The pattern piece has a zipper compartment where you can hide your straps. I didn't want this for my backpack and I just ignored the zipper cutout. I attached the straps to my back panel as if it would be the zipper compartment, and since my shoulders are a little wider, I angled the straps slightly. Unfortunately, my camera died during this process. Here you can see the finished back panel with the straps. In the back are my padded pieces with the white cotton canvas and the newspaper print. And on the left side you have this green fabric, which is another zipper compartment where you later pull your complete back panel through the side. As I mentioned, the straps in the pattern are made to be hidden. They are attached with a hook to the loop in the side seam. I didn't want to have this hook situation as a strap, so I constructed a triangle shape to attach that to the side seam. I measured the triangle of existing backpacks, and since seams that 5 cm wide and 7 cm long is that what most companies are using for their triangles. I cut out 4 of these triangles and attached the straps to them. I checked the fit of the back panel with the clipped straps, if everything is sitting nicely against the back, and then I pasted it in place. I wanted to try the notebook compartment that is in the back of the Peak Design backpack. They had a genius idea to use performance fabric to allow the compartment to expand based on the stuff that you put into it. I absolutely wanted a similar compartment for my notebook as well. The base for this are 2 rectangles, one you will see when you open the backpack and the other one is the inside. Each rectangle uses 3 strips of bike jersey for the side and bottom seams. Both rectangles are sewn together at the top. For the security of the notebook, I applied first a layer of fusible interfacing to the rectangle and then 1 layer of batting between the 2 rectangles. I then flipped over the other side and top stitched the edge. Before attaching the compartment to the back panel of the lining fabric, I pinned everything together that nothing will move under my machine. I basted the compartment on the lining and cut the excess fabric away. Then it was time to check if the notebook fits nicely into it, and it did. The pattern has 1 zipper as a main compartment and another optional zipper for the notebook compartment. Here I deviated again from the pattern since I like the way the Peak Design backpack opens from the back. I still used the constructions for the zipper but modified it to my need. The notebook zipper is in my version at the front of the backpack. I used the remaining of my zipper and adjusted the bands connected to it on the go. The most difficult part was getting the sliders into the AquaGuard zipper. I thought for a moment I bought the wrong size, but after a lot of fiddling I managed to get them in. I attached the zipper band to the outer front and then, right sides together, attached the front lining. I sewed everything together and pulled it through the zipper compartment. My main zipper is located in the back. That means my sidewall band attaches with the zipper against the back panel. In the original pattern, the non-opening part is on the side. I rotated my band so that the non-opening part is located at the bottom. To make sure I don't catch any of the straps while sewing, I clipped them away. Starting from the bottom, I clipped the band in place and secured it on the bottom also with the seam. Then I clipped the rest in place and sewed it on the go. I had to unpick the seam at some places to make sure everything goes together neatly. Sewing the corners was definitely the most challenging part. I have to think about a better method next time I'm sewing this backpack. My back panel had more fabric than the side paneling, which I don't know why and how that happened. Once everything was attached to the back panel, I flipped the right side to the inside. Then the lining back panel was attached to the side seam. It was not the easiest to maneuver the back panel pieces with all the layers under my sewing machine, but I managed and sewed everything in place. Then it was time to turn everything through the tiny pocket on the side seam. Let me tell you, I had doubt for a moment or two if this will be possible with the already inserted foam rubber, but it worked. The last step was attaching the front panel with the zipper to the side seam with the bias tape. Easier said than done. The backpack on this point is already massive and handling it alone is rather challenging. But standing on a slight angle and balance the backpack on my hand and shoulder worked somehow. This is the finished backpack in its full glory, or better to say, fully stuffed with lots of blankets for more dimension. If you are sensitive with sounds, be aware that the next part of the video has some rustling noise from the material. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it while filming it. So for this project I choose fabric that was already in my stash. First of all, you can see the black fabric. That is a Cordura fabric, which is a 330 denier. And it has acrylic coating on top, so it is not waterproof, but it is water repellent. The other material, this accent color here, is ripstop nylon version in gold, and that has a polyurethane coating, which should be waterproof. I'm not 100% sure if that is really the case, but both of the fabrics should be good for lighter rain situations. And so the instructions give you the option, or the pattern has the option of these bands that go over the zippers. And I did not want to have that, so I opted for the AquaGuard zipper, which means that these zippers are waterproof. And to have another color into the backpack, I used these, or I chose the red sliders as another accent in the backpack. So another thing, what I did not, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, I removed this zipper that was going on the front part, since I'm not really the person who likes to have zippers that are accessible from the outside of my backpack, especially if it's in the back and I don't see what's going on, if you have a crowded situation. I really don't trust these kind of pockets, so I omitted that, and instead, since I have the main compartment opening in the back and the notebook compartment, so to say, opens in the front, I have a zipper bag or a little pouch situation here in the front that I can put my keys and my purse or whatever inside that is more or less easily accessible. But yeah, going into the inside, maybe one thing about these zippers are just your standard zippers that you can get on the meter. I think these 3mm coils or something on those lines, so nothing fancy here. And for the inside fabrics, I choose these skull fabric that I have for ages in my stash that I primarily use to line bags nowadays. I use this for the front lining and for the notebook compartment in the back. And on the side, I use this animal print, which is a super stiff cotton canvas. A similar canvas I used, as you may saw on the video, for the padding in the back that is hidden away because that fabric was ugly, as well as the fabric that is used for this little zipper compartment in the back that has this green tartan kind of fabric, also left over from my stash. For this pocket though, I have to say I think I will never really use it because that pocket sits basically where the notebook is, and I don't like to have any pressure against the notebook or against my back, because that is also the area where it then would maybe hit your back. Let's close the front compartment. There you can see one more time the notebook compartment with the bike jersey on the side so that it can grow easily and lay flat when I don't need it. On that notebook compartment is also these these thermal foils with my name on it. I had it left over from another project and I thought, why not put it here? Yeah, basically I have a very plain inside. I didn't opt for any other zippers since I was not 100% sure what I really need, and I would rather have a very plain backpack as a beginning to see what is missing to then progress with some modifications here and there. But so far, for my first adventure, let's say, for going over the weekend to my partner's house, I did not really need any more pockets than the notebook compartment and the compartment where I put my phone, key and purse that is easily accessible via the front zipper. I will of course link all the materials that I used and are still accessible or available, better to say, in the description box down below. One thing, because I changed so much on the go, especially the zipper, and that the zipper now has the closing part on the bottom, my top part is a little bit askew and the whole backpack has some sort of a skewness into it. And so for the top part, it is with the handle. That should be more in the middle, but I think in the original pattern it starts on the top part and goes over the side part, which I did not want to have. So I used the existing seams and attached that little holder just where the seams are basically. And for the next iteration of that backpack, I will of course make sure that this seam is more on the side and the other seam as well, so that I have a handle that really sits on the top. Yeah, and maybe you see it with the little skewness, maybe more in the back. And I mentioned it in the video for some reason, and I don't really know how that ended up. My back panel was longer or had more fabric than the side ring with the zipper had. And I don't know how. I checked the measurements once more and everything looked fine to me. But yeah, I have to make sure that that will not happen the next time I'm sewing it. And I think this is one of the reasons why it looks a little bit skewed. I really don't mind. I mean, first of all, I don't see it. So if I'm wearing it, I will not see how it looks on my back. So fine with me. If other people are bothered by that, it's their problem, not mine. Second of all, I did not use the fusible interfacing on the side, and I also not used the foam stabilizer in the front. So every time my backpack is not fully loaded with all the stuff, it will anyways fall down or fall into it. I don't know how to pronounce it or say it correctly in English, but basically it will fall together. Maybe that is the better description. So it will anyways maybe be more screwed and not like a perfect rectangle. So I really don't mind it. I will make sure next time I sew it that this will not happen. But even though maybe if it happens again, I cannot do much, I guess, because especially if you notice it after you finish everything. Nevertheless, if I'm wearing it on my shoulders, I don't feel it. So on my shoulders, it really sits flat. It sits right to me. I don't have the impression that anything is bothering me on my shoulders. So at least that part is good, so to say. One thing, what I like definitely is that I did not make these removable straps. That is so much more convenient to have proper straps that are properly attached, and you can, make sure that everything fits nice and tightly on your back. But one thing I noticed that this area down below that is pressing against my back, my lower back, that is really uncomfortable. And I think now I know why I don't like the backpack that is basically the inspiration for this one, because both of the backpacks don't have a proper padding down in this area. And I think I will change that for the next version, that I will attach a 3D mesh that is super thick and cushiony to the complete lower back part of the backpack to give the back more support, but a nicer touch to the back, and the back does not get hurt by the pressing backpack. So this is the thing I definitely want to change for the next version, and I already have the fabric that I want to choose for this one here, not the fabric but the fabric sample, so that I can check which squishiness I really like and I think should be suited best for the next backpack project. So yeah, this is the baby. I'm super happy, and let's talk a little bit about the time that it took me to sew this backpack. So all in all, it took around 12 hours, I would say, to sew it, because I had so much modifications that I did, and I took my time as usual to try not to fluff up too much. We don't talk about this little skewness issue, but yeah, it was around 12 hours. I would say if I had not made so much changes on the backpack on the go, maybe it would have been faster. But I would also say what helped me becoming more fast with sewing this is I already knew what the sewing process will be, due to the fact that I made the one prototype. So that definitely helped me a lot. So if you are going for this backpack or for any backpack pattern, please make your life easier and do a muslin and check the sewing instructions, and if everything is how you like it, or if you may have to make changes, and also just get familiar with the backpack pattern or with the patterns that you choose in general. So I would say that definitely helped me a lot with sewing it. But nevertheless, I'm absolutely happy, and somehow I can still grasp that I really made a backpack for myself, because a backpack already, it really sounds so involved. I mean, yes, it is a super involved make, but I, on one part, doubted that it is in general possible to make a backpack yourself. I mean, yes, I know all the ultralight backpacks for hiking out there, but somehow I was too afraid to make myself a backpack for traveling or for just for the weekends, and now I have one, and I'm super happy. I think I will definitely, as I mentioned, make one more version, maybe more versions if some people around me are in need for a backpack, because that instructions and that backpack pattern in general is very, very good, and I can highly recommend trying her patterns out, because they are really, really well written, and if every sewing pattern would be written like that from the instructions, I would be happy. Definitely a very happy project here for me. Oh yeah, maybe on the sizing part, one more thing. I used this backpack for the last weekend when I went to my partner, as I told you, when I noticed the problem with the back. So I put everything that I needed in the backpack. So my clothing for running and biking, my notebook, toiletries, and then and my drawing stuff. So then I had even space for some more. So I was surprised how much space is in there, and I could fit comfortably my spinning project and my knitting project in that backpack. So I think that is really a very fun size for the weekend, and I think I will try it off camera how good the size is in terms of can I fit comfortably a pair of running shoes in it as well, because if that is the case, maybe I don't really need a bigger backpack for 3 weeks of Japan. Let me know what you think in the comments down below of having a backpack of that size for 3 weeks of traveling. But yeah, that is somehow my goal. If I notice in the next couple of weeks that it is a little bit too small, then I will adjust the size. But yeah, so far so good. All right, I think, can I say anything else other than I really love that pattern and I really love the outcome, even though it is a little bit scooped. I think you may notice that I'm super happy with it. Let me put that away for a moment. So yeah, that's it for this week's video. I hope I could encourage you to maybe try a backpack pattern for yourself, or maybe you even tried that specific backpack pattern yourself, and I would really like to know what your thoughts are on making gear like backpacks or other travel equipment. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.